Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, your go-to destination for unraveling the mysteries of cutting-edge technologies on Google Cloud. I am Mustafa and today we'll be diving into an exciting journey of migrating PostgreSQL databases to AlloyDB for PostgreSQL using the Google Cloud Database Migration Service. In this lab, we are focusing on migrating a standalone PostgreSQL database running on a virtual machine to AlloyDB for PostgreSQL. This process leverages a continuous database migration service job, utilizing a VPC peering for seamless connectivity between your VPC network and the underlying VPC network where your AlloyDB resource resides. Migrating a database via database migration service requires some preparatory steps on the source database, such as setting up the pglogical packages on the source instance. These tasks have already been completed for you in the source environment. I would link a video where I did something similar. During this lab, you would create and run a migration job, confirm the successful initial migration of your database, and explore how continuous migration jobs keeps your AlloyDB instance updated with changes from your source database. Here's a quick rundown of what we'll be doing. Would ensure that the data in our source, which is our PostgreSQL instance, is ready for migration. After that, we'll set up a connection profile for our standalone PostgreSQL instance. Thereafter, we would initiate a continuous migration job to keep our AlloyDB instance in sync with our source database. We would also verify that the initial data load has been successfully migrated. And finally, we would ensure that live updates from our source database are correctly applied to our AlloyDB instance. So whether you're a beginner or a seasoned tech explorer, join us in this practical exploration of database migration on Google Cloud. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell as we tackle migrating PostgreSQL database to AlloyDB for PostgreSQL. Let's get started. As usual, we'll start our lab and we'll launch our lab with the required credits. After launching our lab with the required credits, then we'll open our lab in an incognito window. So here we are. I'm just going to grab my password with me. Click on next here. Then paste our password here. I understand. So this is our Google Cloud dashboard. So I'm going to agree to the terms and service, then agree and continue. So here we are. So as we've discussed the overview for this lab, and we've also talked about what we'll be doing. So for the setup and requirements, I think we are done with that. And we can go direct to activating our Cloud Shell. So click on this Activate Cloud Shell so that we can activate our Cloud Shell. So continue. So you can see it's provisioning our Cloud Shell machine, and it would also connect to our Cloud Shell instance. So here we are. Let's increase the font of this. In the text size, let's use a large. Okay. So that's about that. So the first command, which is the active account name with gcloud auth list. Then I'm just going to authorize this. So it will show the active account name I am. So the next thing is to list the active project that we are on with the gcloud config list project. And we have our project ID here, which is the same name that corresponds with what is here. So that's regarding that. So the next thing we want to do is we want to verify the data in our source instance for migration. So let's verify that the data in our source instance before we now migrate it. So we have our source database on a virtual machine already. We'll just go there and explore it. And after we've explored it, we can now work towards migrating it. So going to the compute engine, we have the virtual machine. This compute engine, virtual machine. Let's click on virtual machine. And here we have on virtual machine. So these are some virtual machines that had been pre-created for us, and this is where our source instance is. So let's SSH into our source, and let's grab this command so that we can launch the PostgreSQL client. So I'm going to authorize the SSH. You can see it's establishing a connection to our SSH server, and here we are. So paste this command. So it has initialized into our Postgre, and now we are in our PostgreSQL. So the next thing we want to do is let's list the tables in our database at the moment. So we have different tables in our database. We have countries, departments, employees, job, location, and region. And the next thing we can do is let's count how many rows is in each and every of these tables. So this is just a typical SQL command. Select count star from all this. So these are the amount of rows in each and every one of them: 25, 27, 107, 19, 23, and 4. So this is just us viewing the source database, so that when we make the move, we can also confirm in our destination if we have the same thing there. So another thing, so that we can just close out of this, and so let's close out of our, then use exit to close out of our SSH browser. So here we have. The next thing we want to do now is to create a database migration service connection profile for a standalone PostgreSQL database. So our PostgreSQL is standalone. Now we want to create a connection profile that our database migration service is going to use. So the first thing we are going to do is we have to get the connectivity and deployment information for our PostgreSQL source instance. So to get that, we'll just go and copy the internal IP address of our source virtual machine. So this is our source database. It's on this virtual machine. You can copy the private IP here. So we can just copy this, but I'm just going to leave this tab, and I'm not going to copy it. So I can duplicate a new tab so that when I need it, I can just go there and view it from there. So that's regarding that. So let's keep following the instruction. The next thing we have to do is, from our database migration, let's create a connection profile. So I'm just going to search for database migration. So here I can search for database migration directly from here. And when I click on enter, so this is our database migration. So you can see, and we have our connection profile here. So let's click on connection profile. So from here we can create a connection profile. So let me grab the necessary command for this lab. So for the source database, we are choosing the PostgreSQL. So don't forget that our source, where we are coming from, is the PostgreSQL, and we are moving to AlloyDB for PostgreSQL. Just grab this along with me. So for our database engine, which should be our source, we have the PostgreSQL here. For the connection profile name, we'd name it this. And for the host name, this is where we would paste the IP address of our source instance for the virtual machine that contains our source database. So I can just go back to this part and copy this from here. So go back to our connection profile. I have this here. Under the username, let's set the username. The username that we are using is Postgre, and the password is chain3me. So we have this here. And for the password, paste this here. So we can come and replace this password. So the next thing we'll do is we'll select the region, then we can create our connection profile. So the region we are using is US Central 1. I think we are there already. So let's click create. So let's create our connection profile. So this is the connection profile that we would use when we are working on the database migration job. So for each migration that you want to do here, it has to be linked to a connection profile. So when you create a connection profile for something, you can just keep using it for the job that you want to migrate from. So here is our connection profile, and you see it has 0 job at the moment. So it can be used for multiple jobs that fit that particular connection profile that you are doing at that particular time. So this is it. I think we are good. So let's check our progress. And yeah, our progress is confirmed. So for task 3, we want to create and start a continuous migration job. So to create and start a continuous migration job, we have to now go to still on our database migration, under migration job, let's create a new job. So I'm just going to, this will be the name of our job, from Postgre to AlloyDB. So we can come back here. From the left side menu, we have our migration job. Let's click on migration job. So we can now create a migration job. So don't forget our migration job name is this. The source database that we are coming from is PostgreSQL. The destination database is AlloyDB for PostgreSQL. And we only have a continuous job type there at the moment. So I think that's it for now. So let's click on save and continue. Our destination region is still US Central 1, so I think we are good. So under our source instance, we would pick our connection profile from here. So the connection profile we created previously, we have it here now. If we have not created a connection profile before, we can actually create a connection profile directly from here. But since we have this here, I'm just going to pick it, then save and continue. So it's saving it for us. So now we have our destination, and don't forget our destination is AlloyDB. So let's take a look at what the instruction wants us to use. So for the cluster ID, we choose this, and yeah, we'll do that one by one. So we are using a new cluster, and we'll review our cluster configuration. So we are supposed to use an high availability, and this is an high availability, the production workload. So you can see it supports AlloyDB clusters with high availability configuration. So after that, we can click on continue. So let's configure the basic information of our cluster. This is our cluster ID. Then we can set our cluster password. We are using this, and the database version, we can just decide to use this Postgre 15. Then the next thing, under networking, so this is our peering network, the VPC peering that we created between the VPC of our source database and our destination database. So here we have VPC connection. So continue. Then basic info of our primary instance. Let's just follow what the lab asks us to use. So we are going to call it AlloyDB target instance. Then the machine type that we are going to use is 2 vCPUs and 16 gigabytes. So we have that set, and after that, I think we are good. So the next thing we have to do is just to configure and continue. So let's save and continue. Yes, then we can create our destination here. So it takes a while for these destinations to get complete, and I'm just going to fast forward it and see you at the end. Our destination has been created. So the next thing we want to do is to pick our connectivity method. So the connectivity method we are using here is VPC peering. So like I've explained before, the VPC network that we've created is this peering network that we have here, we've selected before. So the next thing is to configure and continue. The connectivity method has been completed. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to test our job. Let's test our job. And this shouldn't take a while at all. So in no time we'll be done. So we've tested our job, and our job is now successful, which means that we can create and start our job. So let's create and start our job. And our job is creating. So there are different statuses that this job is going to go through before it gets to a running stage. So you can see at this moment it's starting, and there's a phase. So our final phase should be running, and incremental load in progress. So when it's on incremental load, it's more of like it's already running. So if you take a look at the lab instruction at the moment, so there's something like running CDC in progress to show run. So it's not going to show running CDC in progress, but it will show running incremental job in progress under the face. So that's the final destination that we have. So it will take a while for this to also get sorted, and I'm going to fast forward it and see at the end. So here we are, and you can see that our job is now running, and it is in the incremental load in progress phase, so which shows that we are currently streaming our job live. So the next thing we want to do now is for task 4, let's confirm that the data that we've loaded to our AlloyDB for PostgreSQL instance actually exists. So let's confirm if we are not just bluffing and our data is actually there. So the next thing we are going to do is we can take a look at our AlloyDB database and see our cluster in there at the moment. So what we're going to do is, so from here we can navigate to AlloyDB. So to navigate to AlloyDB, from the navigation menu under database, so we can just click on view all products. So let's go to database. We have database here. Another database, we can see our AlloyDB here. So clicking on AlloyDB, let's see the cluster that it creates for us. Now I'm going to dismiss terminal. So this is the cluster that we specified when we were creating our job, and you can see it. This is the cluster, this is the instance. So let's copy the private IP of this cluster so that we can use it when we want to SSH into our AlloyDB from the virtual machine. So the next thing we are going to do is, on our virtual machine, let's go to our AlloyDB client. So we would connect to this AlloyDB instance from the AlloyDB client. That's more of like where someone is connecting to the database that he wants to get the information from. So let's click on this AlloyDB client, and we can SSH from here, and we can also SSH from the previous tab. So it's transferring the necessary keys. Then let's authorize the SSH connection. So you can see it's establishing connection to our SSH server, and here we are. So the first thing we will also want to do is let's export our address, which is the address of our AlloyDB instance, the host name. So we have it here. So we want to export this AlloyDB. We'll export the IP address of our AlloyDB database into this environmental variable. So let's go copy our environmental variable from here. So let's go back to the AlloyDB tab. So this is the path, this is the private IP. But take note that when you copy this thing, you have to make sure that you only paste in the IP address and not the port number. So I'm going to take out the port number. Let me just repaste it. So I'm taking out the port number and enter. So after that, let's echo this our AlloyDB environmental variable into this text so that it can persist throughout this lab. And then we have that. The next thing we want to do is let's connect to our PSQL client for our PostgreSQL. So I'm just going to use this command, and we have this here. So the password that we set before, which was chain3me, we have to input that. And now we are inside our AlloyDB for PostgreSQL. So here we are. So let's run the previous command that we ran before, and let's see if we have the same information. So the first thing we want to do is let's view the tables name that exists here. So you can see we also have them similar table names to the previous one. This is countries, department, employees, job, location, and region. And the owner, you can see this owner is AlloyDB external sync for everything. So let's confirm if what we have on those rows are also what we have on the previous row. So I'm just going to paste this inside, and you can see that they are the same thing. We have 25, 27, 107, 19, 23, and 4, which shows that our data has been successfully migrated from the source database, which was our PostgreSQL, to our destination database, which is now the AlloyDB on PostgreSQL, which is our PostgreSQL and AlloyDB. So the next thing we want to do is let's also test out something. So let's view the amount of data in this region. Let's view the data in this region. So you can see in our region table we have just 4 entries: the Europe, America, Asia, Middle East, and Africa. So we have just 4 regions at the moment. So let's see if we add a new region to the data on the source database. Let's see if it's going to get replicated on the destination database. So that's the next thing we want to do. So we want to propagate a live update to our AlloyDB instance. So for that, we would go back to our source database and go and add one more information there. So I'm just going to grab this command along with me. Then I will go back to our virtual machine part. So let's click on our virtual machine. So, and this is our source connection. So let's SSH into our source. It's transferring the necessary SSH key. Let's authorize this. And it's establishing the connection to our SSH server. So let's go into our PSQL client, and we are here now. So one thing we can do is let's first run the previous command and let's see if it's the same thing before we now add new values. So you can see it's 4, and it's also 4 that we have on our destination source at this particular moment. So let's insert into our source and let's see if it's going to get affected on our destination. You know, we are doing a continuous migration. So anytime a new data enters the source, it's supposed to replicate it immediately in the destination. So let's grab our insert command. Let's paste our insert command here. And now we have a new entry. So just check out our new entry by running the previous command. So you can see we added Oceania, and now we have Oceania as the 5th entry. So let's see if this thing would have been pre-populated on our destination instance. So we can just go directly to our destination instance, which is the second SSH I have here, and I can run the previous command. And you can see that now we also have 5 results on our destination connection. This is to show that any changes that we made to the source, it's also going to get reflected on the destination part, because we are doing a continuous migration job. We have put up a continuous migration job for it, and for any incremental job that is coming in, it's going to get replicated there. So, and that's typically what we've done here. So let's check if we've completed our progress. And so our progress is complete. We have our full score now. So that's pretty much what we want to do. So congratulations for staying to the end with me. So we've successfully migrated a standalone PostgreSQL database running on a virtual machine to AlloyDB for PostgreSQL using a continuous database migration service job. And we also tested the connectivity between the source and the destination. And we noticed that when we made a change to the source, it's get reflected in destination in no time. So that's pretty much everything for this lab. If you enjoyed this lab, please give it a like, and also comment your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this lab, and let me know what areas of improvement you want us to talk about in our next coming videos. So thanks very much for staying through. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on our next update. Bye for now. See you in the next series.